Hey guys, so today we're going to start talking about scaling, and one of the most common things that everyday people scale are recipes. Um, when I lived in New Albany, it was me and Eddie, and we worked in pizza, so 4 out of 5 nights we would eat pizza, and then the rest of the time, since we were very broke, we both worked in pizza. We would eat home cooked food. And when I was growing up, we always cooked a lot because my dad is a big dude who eats a lot. My brother is a big dude who eats a lot. My mom doesn't hardly eat anything ever. And then, I was a grown teenager, and we would always have people over, my aunts or my grandparents or whomever, and we would always have people over. So whenever we cooked a lot. Usually, whenever you see a recipe, it's something about like 4 servings, 4 to 6 servings. But lasagna was one of my brother's favorite things. But let's look at this one. It specifically says lazy lasagna for 2. And see, that was the problem whenever we were living in New Albany, is that we couldn't afford to make a whole bunch of food one night and then let it just go to rot in the refrigerator. And so finding recipes for 2 people or two servings, rather than a whole giant pan of lasagna that was gonna go bad, that was kind of important. And I had a lot of recipe books and a lot of things that I had loved to eat and make before we moved in together. And so it was up to me to scale those, to cut them in half, or to double them, or to make a third of it, or whatever, in order to be financially responsible. So this recipe is actually pretty amazing. It's got egg noodles, instead of the big long lasagnas, which take freaking forever. I don't know if you've ever made lasagna, but I don't know. This right here is a whole lot less hassle, which is important to me right now. This is something that we would have made whenever we were living in New Albany. And you can see here the ingredients list. A cup of spaghetti sauce, which is about half a can. Some cheese, some cottage cheese, some noodles, and then Parmesan. Now that we have kids that actually eat people food, I mean, I guess baby food is people food too, but you know what I mean, that actually eat regular dinner, if we wanted to keep this recipe and just adapt it to our now family of 4, what would we do? Well, originally the number of servings was 2, and now it's 4. And so whenever we're scaling, we're always thinking about multiplying or dividing. We're not really thinking about adding or subtracting because it's all got to stay proportional. If I put twice as much noodles and only half as much sauce, that wouldn't be very good lasagna, or at least it wouldn't be the same lasagna that I know. So all of these ingredients are in proportion with one another. Okay, sorry. Keep scrolling so fast, sorry. So to get from 2 to 4, we double it. And so each one of these measurements here, we would double. So instead of 1 cup of spaghetti sauce, it would be 2 cups of spaghetti sauce. Instead of 3/4 cup of mozzarella, it would be 1.5 cup of mozzarella. Instead of a half cup of daisy, it would be a whole cup of cottage cheese. Instead of 1.5 cups of noodles, it would be 3 cups of noodles. And instead of 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan, it would be 4 tablespoons, which, if you know your kitchen conversions, 4 tablespoons is a 1/4 cup of something. All right, and then parsley for decoration. Since I got you here, I'm going to go ahead and let you look at the directions here. If you want to try this on your own, this looks very, very good, and I think I have everything for this in my cabinet right now. So this might be dinner later. All right. Well, let's try out a couple of exercises where we either have to have, or double, or triple, or take 2/3 of a recipe. And so remember, where do we start versus how many we need, and take that number. So from 2 to 4, it would be double. If I wanted to make this from 2 to 1, because, maybe I'm going out of town for 2 weeks and I need to feed myself and, whatever, I need to break this down to 1, then I would divide everything, or multiply by 1/2. So here, when we see 3/4 of a cup of mozzarella cheese, we might think, how do I even find half of that? We can multiply our fractions 1/2 times 3/4, or 1/2 times 1/2, or 1/2 divided by 2. All of those things would give us the same result. So we're going to practice this. Sorry, I keep scrolling. We're going to practice this. That is our assignment for today. And then tomorrow we're going to move on and talk about scaling geometric figures, which is also really cool. All right, guys, that's it from me, and I will see you tomorrow.